Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today for account-based prospecting. Real quick before we get started, a little bit about me. I'm Ashley Minogue. I am a market strategist at OpenView. OpenView is a venture capital firm that invests solely in expansion stage software companies. And I am part of the go-to-market team that helps our portfolio companies once we've invested in them. So everything from sales strategy, customer segmentation, to pricing or marketing optimization. I started my career in strategy consulting, and then I joined Wayfair pretty early on when they were just trying to figure out their B2B side of their business. So I helped grow that business unit to be one of their largest and fastest growing. And then I was really excited to join the OpenView team to work with a wide variety of companies who are really starting to scale go-to-market once they figured out their product market fit. So today we're going to be focusing on account-based prospecting fundamentals. And I wanted to start with the prospecting element since that's sort of naturally the first step at the top of the funnel. And we often do these workshops as full day strategy sessions with our portfolio companies when either they're undergoing a significant amount of scale or changing up the way their team is structured. But today we're going to spend no more than 15 minutes just hitting on some of the key fundamentals and tactics of how you actually lay out account-based prospecting and what should be the plan. So my first message for you is simple. Account-based sales is nothing new. Good reps have been doing this all along, thinking about who are their key accounts, who do they actually need to talk to within those key accounts, and then how are they actually going to do outreach to them. But yet it's become such a buzzword. I mean, we're all spending an entire day today thinking about account-based planning and how to approach it. And I think part of the reason why it's become such a buzzword is that while it's simple at a very small scale, it actually can be quite challenging to do it effectively at a large scale. So while it might be easy to think about how to structure this for 1, 2, 5, 10 accounts, thinking about how to do this for 20, 50, 200 accounts can actually be challenging. And so today we'll walk through some of the basics of how to plan this out so you can do it effectively at scale. So first, I want to give credit where credit is due. John Miller at ENGAGIO is a true thought leader in this space. This past summer, he came to OpenView and shared his approach to account-based planning. He shared the who, the what, and the where. And while those three are hugely important, I also want to stress that there's a fourth pillar that needs to be considered, and that's the when. So thinking about the timing of when you actually need to reach out to the accounts. And I think this is the one that's most often lost when trying to plan this at scale, just because it takes the most coordination with marketing and the most pre-planning. So let's dive right in to the pillars. So the who is all about defining the universe. And if you're listening and you are a director or a manager, it's up to you to define the overall universe for your sales team and think about the structure. So there's many different ways to slice and dice sales territories. These 5 listed up here are just examples of how you can think about it. And of course, you don't need to just pick one. You might be a sales rep who covers the retail vertical, less than 1,000 employees in New York. Or maybe you are covering the territory out west for over 2,000 employees for the healthcare industry. Your specific sort of sales territory structure is going to be dependent on your business and how differentiated your product lines are and what elements are really important to really closing a sale. But regardless, what's important is that the overall team has a clear structure that's set up so that it drives ownership and accountability for reps to penetrate their specific territories. So once these territories are set, it's critical that every single rep has a target account list. The goal of these target account lists is to make sure that that proactive outreach is focused. And of course, whether you're targeting enterprise or SMB will determine how many target accounts you'll have. But at the end of the day, every single rep should know who are the key target accounts that they are looking to penetrate at any given quarter. Once that universe of accounts is set, it's time to think about who are the key people that you need to build these relationships with. So who are all the people in the decision-making process that you need to be speaking with? And so 90% of reps are just going to focus on that person that they build that initial relationship with. So speaking from my own experience, we often do a lot of win and loss reviews for our portfolio companies. So we'll reach out to either existing customers or lost prospects on behalf of them just to get a better understanding of how the process went for the customer. Was there any optimizations that can be done to the overall sales process? And more often than not, what we're finding with our, lost prospect reviews is that reps can get blindsided when there's no budget. And it's because they haven't actually engaged with the true budget holder. So my takeaway here is start wide, understand your territory, build the key account list, and really define your specific universe, and then think about all the people that you need to be building those relationships with. Next is the what and the where. So once you've defined that universe, what do you want to say to them, and where do you want to deliver that message? So especially when it comes to prospecting and in the early stages of building relationships, leading with insights is going to be key to penetrating those accounts. So rather than just focusing on internal factors, this is my company, this is what my product does, think about what you can figure out from the market. What are the pain points you think this specific prospect is experiencing? And then relate how your specific product can help solve those pain points. And these key questions are questions you should be thinking about, especially if you are a manager on the phone listening in. Are you setting up your team for success to really lead with insights from a prospecting perspective? And then, of course, email and phone are the most common ways to deliver this message. But what I also want to do is encourage you to think outside the box. So there's many ways to penetrate and deliver this message. And I think the common perception is that anything that's sort of outside the box is going to break the budget. But if you spend some time brainstorming it, I think there's a lot of creative things that you can come up with that actually aren't that expensive. And it can be as simple as sending cupcakes with their logo on it to build that first interaction. So think about what you can do that maybe your competitors aren't doing that can set you apart. And lastly, when thinking about the what and the where, leverage your resources. So some of you on the phone probably work for really big companies and you have a really wide network and resources available to you. While others of you on the phone are probably thinking, I work for a startup, I have a very limited pool of resources, which might be true. But regardless of the size of your company, everyone has a network that they can work with. So think about how you can leverage people at your existing company, your broader network that you have to start to penetrate those prospects. The point here is just really figure out what are your resources you have and how can you use them. And the worst you can do is ask for someone to help you and they say no. So that brings us to the last pillar, the when, the one that I think gets overlooked and isn't always thought about in advance. This is where you need to think about when you're actually reaching out to those accounts. And this is the one where I think partnership with marketing is critical. Because you need to be thinking about how often you want to be touching your accounts, which is going to take a balance of automation and personal touches. So not all of your accounts, especially if you're targeting 50 or 100 and above, are going to require the same amount of touches. So how are you going to think about segmenting your accounts? Which are the ones that require weekly or even daily touches, and which are the ones that probably only require monthly or quarterly, given their priority and also where they are in the sales cycle? Those ones that require less frequent touches or less personal touches, you really want to understand what marketing automation is available to you and how can you leverage that. That way you spend the majority of your time with those top priority accounts and giving them personalized touches. So sitting on the marketing side of the fence at Wayfair, I saw some reps do really, really well when they had a really deep understanding of what marketing was doing and how they were engaging with their customers. So the reps who really understood what marketing was doing would leverage those marketing touch points as a reason to follow out, as a reason to follow up. For example, if marketing sent out something about the latest referral program, they would use that as a touch point to follow up with an additional call, just another touch point to reach out to them. And on the flip side, I saw it also work really poorly for reps who were uneducated on what marketing was doing. So examples of what I saw included reps bombarding customers with emails when marketing or the BDR already reached out to them that day, or sending them messaging that was off-brand and looked totally different than what marketing was doing, often making it seem like the two were totally uncoordinated. So my takeaway for you here is really use marketing as a partner and also give them feedback. You're the ones who are talking to your customers day in and day out. So if you find that some of the tactics that marketing is using aren't working, share it with them. When I first started at Wayfair, the team was small enough where we could huddle up in a room with all of the sales reps to talk them through our latest campaigns. And when I left, we were over 400 reps. And of course, we couldn't all get into a room on a weekly or even monthly basis. So we really relied on creating focus groups to making sure that there was a tight coordination between sales and marketing. And if you don't feel like you have that communication set up today, take it in your own hands to set that up. And also when it comes to the when, if on-site is a critical part of your strategy, this one in particular needs to be planned in advance. So if you are making a trip to New York or the Boston area, plan it in advance so you can make the most out of your trip. Who are all the key accounts that you could meet with during those trips to make the most out of that visit? So putting these 4 pillars into action, what does this all boil up to? These all should create your overall territory plan. So starting with the widest view of defining the territory, understanding the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats within it, and then drill down from there. So who are your must-win accounts that you should know at any given point? These are the specific accounts you want to be penetrating. And then what is your plan per account? Not only is it who are the people that you want to be talking to, but what is your plan to lead with insights and deliver a message that's going to resonate with them? And then what is that pre-planned calendar to reach out to them? So a lot of reps will just plan out, maybe just a couple weeks in advance, but we've seen the best reps sketch out as far as 3 months out. And of course, keep in mind, this is all just a starting plan. Of course, you need to be flexible, but having this plan of attack and overarching guidelines will make sure that you and your team are using your time most effectively to hit your goals. And as someone who loves numbers and tracking, we could spend a whole nother 15 minutes talking about how to most effectively track the effectiveness of this. But I want to leave you with one actionable tidbit here. Number 1 rule for tracking, if it's not in your CRM, it doesn't count. I can't stress this enough. So often I see reps not recording what they're doing. And this is so critical, not only if your account gets reassigned, but also for understanding your effectiveness and reporting out to senior leadership on what you've been doing. So if there's one easy takeaway from today, this is something you can go back to your desk and start doing right away. Great, so that is all I had for you today for our short boot camp in account-based sales prospecting. My contact information is up on the screen, so I'd love to hear from you, whether it's more thoughts on this topic, or even if you just want to learn about OpenView and how we engage in our portfolio companies, I would love to hear from you. Thanks, everyone.